Look, the real talk right now is that everyone's obsessing over the big splashy signings, but a front office just made a move that might tell us way more about their actual plan than any nine-figure contract ever could. Here's the thing that's going to mess with your head. This organization just claimed a guy off waivers who hit 221 for his career. Yeah, you heard that right, 221. And they dumped a pitcher they literally just signed like 9 days ago to make room for him. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds insane, right? Like, why would any contending team do that? But hold on, because when you dig into what this player actually brings to the table, and when you look at what they're clearly building toward, this move starts making a whole lot more sense. Or does it actually expose a massive hole they're trying to ignore? Here's the question that's going to haunt this entire off-season. Did this front office just prioritize defense and speed over bullpen depth? And is that going to blow up in their face come October? I'm talking about the New York Yankees claiming Michael Ciani off waivers from the Los Angeles Dodgers and immediately cutting loose Caleb Ort to make room. Yeah, the Bronx Bombers just went fishing in LA's leftovers and came away with a guy who's never hit above 250 in the big leagues. But before you destroy me in the comments, before you tell me I've lost my mind, smash that subscribe button right now, because what I'm about to break down is going to change how you see this entire roster construction. Here's the deal. The Dodgers just dumped Ciani to make room for Kyle Tucker. That's an MVP caliber bat coming in, so someone had to go. Ciani was the odd man out. He spent parts of 4 seasons bouncing between the Reds and the Cardinals, playing in 160 games total, hitting 7 doubles, 2 triples, 2 homers, and stealing 21 bags. His slash line? 221, and that's being generous. So why on earth would Brian Cashman and the Yankees front office look at that resume and say, yeah, that's our guy? Because the game's changing, fam. For real. Look at what just happened in the playoffs. Look at how many games were decided by 1 run, by a ball in the gap that turned into a triple because the outfielder couldn't track it down, or by a stolen base that set up the winning run. The Yankees watched the Dodgers win it all last year, and you know what the Dodgers had? They had dudes who could fly and dudes who could catch everything. Ciani runs a 4.1 down the line. His defense in center field is legitimately elite. We're talking about a guy who can cover ground that most outfielders don't even dream about. And in a ballpark like Yankee Stadium, where that right center gap is basically the Grand Canyon, having a guy who can run stuff down matters. But here's where it gets spicy. To make room for Ciani, the Yankees had to designate Caleb Ort for assignment. Caleb Ort, the right-hander they literally just claimed from the Astros on January 9th. The dude's been in pinstripes for like 5 minutes. He's got a 5.00 ERA across 118 career appearances, and now he's right back on waivers. Before we get into the mock trades and the insane scenarios, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me if you think Ciani even makes the opening day roster. Seriously, I want to know, because this next part is where things get absolutely wild, and I need to know if you're ready for what I'm about to say. If you're not subscribed to Bronx Fan Central yet, what are you even doing? This is where we break down every move, every angle, every possibility for this team. Subscribe now, turn on notifications, and let's get back to this absolute roller coaster. Okay, so let's play devil's advocate here for a second. The strongest argument against this move is brutally simple. The Yankees just gave up a major league pitcher for a 4th outfielder who can't hit. And honestly, that's not a bad argument. Ort's got big league experience. He's a 6'4" right-hander who can touch the upper 90s. The bullpen was already a question mark coming into this season, and now they're cutting guys loose who could actually eat innings. Meanwhile, they're bringing in a guy who hit 221 and has 2 career home runs. 2 in 4 years. But here's where that argument falls apart. Ort has a 5.00 ERA. Let me say that again. 5.00. That's not a guy you're counting on in high leverage spots. That's a guy you're hoping can maybe give you some mop-up innings and not completely implode. The Yankees can find that anywhere. Waiver wire, AAA call-ups, whatever. Guys like Ort are replaceable. Guys like Ciani, those are actually harder to find than you think. Yeah, his bat is a liability. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But the Yankees already have Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Giancarlo Stanton, and theoretically a healthy Anthony Rizzo. They don't need Ciani to hit 300. They need him to not be a complete zero and to give them elite defense and speed off the bench. Now, let me hit you with a mock trade scenario that's going to sound crazy, but actually makes perfect sense when you think about the Yankees' needs. Here's the trade. Michael Ciani, right-hander Clayton Beeter, an outfield prospect Everson Pereira to the Tampa Bay Rays for right-handed reliever Pete Fairbanks. Why would the Rays do this? Because Tampa's always looking to flip expensive veterans for controllable pieces. Fairbanks is arbitration eligible and making real money now. Ciani gives them a cheap, controllable outfielder with elite defense who fits their profile perfectly. Beater's a power arm with upside, and Pereira's a guy who could hit in their system. The Rays love projects. Why would the Yankees do this? Because if they're genuinely worried about the bullpen after cutting Ort, Fairbanks is a legitimate back-end arm who can get outs in October. He's got a career 3.28 ERA and strikes out over 12 per 9. That's the kind of guy who makes a bullpen dangerous. But here's the catch. If the Yankees do this, they're admitting that claiming Ciani was just a flip move. They're saying, we grabbed him because he has value to someone else. And honestly, that's probably the smartest play here. The bigger play, the one that keeps me up at night, is this. What if Ciani is actually just a sweetener in a trade package for a starting pitcher? Let's say the Yankees call up the Miami Marlins and say, we'll give you Ciani, Beater, and infield prospect Roderick Arias for Jesus Luzardo. Why would Miami do this? The Marlins are always selling. Luzardo's value is high right now, and they could get multiple pieces back. Ciani gives them a center fielder with defense, Beater's a power arm, and Arias is a top 100 prospect. That's a haul. Why would the Yankees do this? Because their rotation is still a question mark behind Jarrett Cole and Carlos Rodon. Luzardo's a lefty with ace upside, and he's still under team control. If the Yankees are serious about winning now, adding a guy like that makes way more sense than holding on to a bench outfielder. Now let me give you the 3 scenarios for how this all plays out because I promised you depth and I'm going to deliver. Ciani makes the opening day roster as the 4th outfielder. He plays elite defense in center and left, steals 15 to 20 bases, and becomes a weapon in late-game situations. His bat doesn't kill you because he only gets 200 plate appearances, and he's basically a more athletic version of what Oswaldo Cabrera was supposed to be. The Yankees make the playoffs, and in a crucial Game 3 of the ALCS, Ciani makes a diving catch in right center that saves 2 runs and shifts the entire series. He becomes a cult hero. Ort, meanwhile, gets claimed by someone else, pitches terribly, and the Yankees look like geniuses. Ciani doesn't make the roster out of spring training. The Yankees realize they don't actually have room for a guy who can't hit, and they end up designating him for assignment in March. He goes back through waivers, gets claimed by someone like the Guardians or the Rays, and becomes exactly the kind of useful bench piece the Yankees could have used. Meanwhile, Ort gets claimed by a team with a competent pitching development staff, figures something out, and becomes a solid middle reliever. The Yankees look like they made a move just to make a move, and it blows up in their face. Oh, and their bullpen implodes in September because they don't have enough depth. Ciani makes the roster as the last guy. He doesn't play much unless there's an injury, but when he does play, he's fine. He gives them good defense and steals a few bags. His bat is exactly as bad as advertised, but it doesn't matter because he's never getting more than 10 at-bats a month. The Yankees end up trading him in July to a team that needs outfield depth, and they get a low-level prospect or cash back. And they splash the hint. They get a low-level prospect or cash back. Ort clears waivers, goes back to the Yankees' AAA affiliate, and never sniffs the big leagues again. It's a nothing move that doesn't really hurt or help the Yankees, and by August, nobody even remembers it happened. But here's the spitballing, the absolutely insane idea I'm going to throw out there, and you can roast me in the comments for this. What if the Yankees are planning to use Ciani as their primary center fielder on days when they rest Aaron Judge? I know, that sounds nuts. But hear me out. Judge played 158 games last year, and he's 33 years old now. The Yankees know they need to keep him fresh for October. What if the plan is to give Judge 1 day off per week, move him to DH on another day, and on those center field days, you slide Ciani out there with his elite defense? Yeah, his bat is brutal, but if you're only doing this once or twice a week, and you're stacking the rest of the lineup with Judge at DH, Soto in left, Stanton at DH on other days, you can survive Ciani's bat for 1 or 2 games a week. And the defensive value he brings might actually save you runs in those games. Is that the actual plan? Probably not. But the fact that it's even remotely plausible tells you how much the Yankees value defense and speed right now. Look, the bottom line is this. The Yankees made a move that prioritizes athleticism and defense over raw pitching depth. That's a choice. It's a philosophy. It's saying, we think we can find arms, but we can't find guys who can really run and really defend. Is that the right call? I honestly don't know yet. But what I do know is that if Ciani's on this roster in October and he makes one huge play, this whole conversation changes. And if the bullpen falls apart because they didn't have enough depth, we're all going to look back at this moment and say, yeah, that's where it started. So drop a comment right now. Tell me I'm crazy for even entertaining the idea that Ciani matters. Tell me the Yankees just screwed up their bullpen for no reason. Or tell me that Cashman's playing four-dimensional chess and we just don't see it yet. Because honestly, I don't know what's going to happen. But that's what makes this so fun.